Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. Spirituality. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we getting real. Getting real. Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality. Spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Spirituality. But I'm time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, and Inner Peace Practitioner, student, and teacher of all of this universal stuff. Woo! First of all, it's glad to be back. I've been traveling the last few weeks, and I came back to Nevada, flew back to Nevada last Sunday. And let me say this. One of the things that I'm going to share with you right at the top of the show, I was diagnosed with COVID this week for the second time. And I didn't know, I did not know that you could get COVID more than once. I don't listen to the news, don't follow the news. No, I'm not vaccinated. And I got COVID last year. It was October, and it was after I flew back and forth to Boston. And now I caught it again, and it's the same thing with the plane. So this is just for me. When I'm traveling on a plane is when I'm going to be wearing the mask and gloves, because I'm sure that's how I caught it, just being enclosed in that space in an airline, in an airplane. And so it's one of the things about COVID is it just knocks your energy out, just zero energy. I mean, I've been struggling all week just to have enough strength. I'm laughing. Just to have enough strength to sit up. No, it is very tiring and it's very draining, but it's also I was going to say something. No, I'm not going to say that. This is just my personal experience. It just is a matter of time. It's like having the flu or having the cold or anything else, some kind of virus, and it's just a matter of time when it leaves your body. So that is going to be the beginning of the show, just full reveal. So if you hear a little something, or maybe I'm not as excited or whatever, I'm tired. I mean, I needed an alarm to wake up this morning. So that's that. Let me get back to this COVID thing just really quickly. I don't know how many people have had it or experienced it more than once, but the second time, I have to say, it's not as the recovery hasn't taken as long. I just remember last time just being down in the house for a longer period of time. Of course, that's when there was I think 10-day, 14-day seclusion, and now I was just told, okay, just stay isolated for 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. But that's the beginning of the show. Now everybody knows. Now let's get to the show. And this topic is such a challenging practice, and I'm saying that for myself because the practice of being okay with uncertainty, it does a lot. There's a lot of variables. One of them is letting go of all expectations. it's impossible to be okay with uncertainty and have expectations of the future at the same time. Let me just say that again. It's impossible to be okay with uncertainty and still have expectations. So the practice is a combination of being okay with uncertainty, letting go of all expectations, and then also one of the things that the ego, let me just speak about the ego, and we know the difference between the ego. Some people use the word ego, some people use the word mind, lower consciousness. It's the same entity, it's the same thing. Ego, lower consciousness, mind. It's that voice that you hear in your head. It's the thoughts. In fact, it's all of the thoughts that are authored by the ego, all thoughts. How the ego has nothing to hold on to. The ego has nothing to dig into. When you say and when you practice, it doesn't matter to me what happens in the future. I trust. It doesn't matter to me whether or not I get this job, don't get this job. I trust. It doesn't matter to me anything about the future because of the surrendering, the practice of surrendering and trusting. And when you practice, when I say happiness is a practice skill, and I haven't said it yet, happiness is a practice skill. Happiness is a practice skill. And when you practice enough over years, over time, that practice begins to be who you are now. And I'm speaking again for myself, the practice of letting go of all of this future, of all of what I need to do, I have to do, supposed to do, unless I have a deadline, I mean a real deadline, like getting on a plane, or a deadline of having a book proposal due. There is absolutely zero thought in my head, and it's pretty empty. I keep it empty, especially of all future things. The future is so uncertain. Who the heck knew? I wasn't expecting, wanting another diagnosis of COVID, because one of the things that it did, it just shut everything down. This diagnosis of COVID at the beginning of the week, which was either Monday. Yeah, I got diagnosed Monday or Tuesday. I really don't remember. I believe it was Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday, because Monday was the day I was vomiting profusely. Sorry about that. And I remember Tuesday, I said, I either have stomach flu, I either have food poisoning or I have COVID again. That was my diagnosis on Monday. But anyway, back to the point. The point is, it was the diagnosis, and especially, I mean, if I could sit up, if I could work, I would. But the taking out, I mean, for me, it just drains me. There is absolutely nothing I can do except for drink water, take an aspirin, and sit. I wasn't even I'm not even going to say that's too much drama. I was just too much. I wasn't even strong enough to hold up a book and read. No, it's just that I didn't want to do anything. It's just the whole recovery. It's the whole getting back to strength. And now I think I'm probably at about 80%. 75 to 80% of strength left. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the power of uncertainty, the power of being okay with uncertainty. But before I go on, I didn't even tell my new listeners who this show, what reality spirituality is. And let me give you my definition of happiness, which is the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens, regardless of a COVID diagnosis, And regardless of what doesn't happen, which means there wasn't a lot of stuff happening this week, I had to let everything go. I didn't finish one project. I didn't get to not one thing in a week now. Nothing. Is that okay? It's okay with it's okay with the universe. It's definitely not okay with my ego, because the week is, oh, now see, you're still not getting anything done. You're another setback. All of these thoughts. I get the thoughts too, but I will be damned if I allow my ego to take over and for me to believe that anything that my ego has to contribute is the truth. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I do hear it. I hear it a lot. I witness it. I witness the thoughts. I hear the negative thoughts. I get the same thoughts that you do. But it's just witnessing and knowing the truth. And the truth is that your practice, your daily practice, is going to determine how you respond, not react, how you respond to life. How you respond to life regardless of what happened yesterday. All judgment of any moment comes from the past. All judgment has to be learned. All judgment subtracts from happiness. And I'm saying, peace and happiness. And let me just be very clear. When I say happiness, I'm talking about a state of mind. It's a vibration. Happiness is an energy. It's a foundational energy. It's what you're rooted in. It's making a decision in every moment between peace and or drama. And that peace turns into who you are. That peace turns into you. I start identifying with peace as opposed to identifying with anything else. Anything else. One of my favorite studies to cite, and I say it every week, and I'm going to keep on saying it because I think it's very powerful. The most 5 common regrets of the dying. One of them is, I wish I would have let myself be happier. Can you imagine getting to the end and wishing that you would have let yourself be happier? And my favorite quote from Abraham, we all know, we've heard it forever, that you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. This show, Reality Spirituality, is about the journey and how to experience more peace along the journey. Let me share with you really quickly. So that's the definition of happiness. Happiness is a practice skill, and happiness is a state of being. So when I say happiness is a practice skill, it's like any other skill. The more you practice, the better the results. And the first part of the practice begins with gradually eliminating all of those program behaviors. And one of the biggest program behaviors, I'm just saying it's an epidemic, of what's going to happen tomorrow. What do I have on the list tomorrow? And then getting attached to what's going to happen tomorrow. I had a lot of what's happening tomorrow is nothing. What happens the next day is nothing. A lot of what's happening tomorrow was absolutely nothing's happening tomorrow. And I couldn't do anything about it. And so the practice of uncertainty came in very handy this week. It doesn't matter. What matters is trusting and knowing that what is going on in your life is in so much order. Even though it may feel confusing, it may feel like it's not in order, it is so intricately planned, set out, a beautiful journey, all of it. And that is it, embracing all of the journey, including a COVID diagnosis. So what? And the only time I'm talking about it is on the show. I'm not talking about it with anything else unless I'm working with you, and then I have to let you know, okay, I can't get this done this week. I can't get this done then. I'll check back with you next week. That's it. There's no drama to it. It's just next moment. So let's get back to the first part of the practice is gradually eliminating those behaviors that are proven to subtract from happiness. And one of them is being okay with not knowing, being okay with not even being concerned or taking 30 seconds, 1 minute about tomorrow. When I find myself thinking about tomorrow, which is it's very, very rare, unless, there's appointments, this physical therapy appointment, dentist appointment, haircut appointment, those kind of things, nail appointment. That's really it. And then to be okay with letting go of all of those appointments, because the truth is you don't know, I don't know if that's even going to happen. Letting go of the future means letting go of one of those suitcases that I bring with me I talked about overpacking when you're going on a trip, and I don't know about you, but I think I almost mastered overpacking this trip, but the problem is I just took one T-shirt, and then when I get to Oregon, I need a lot more than one T-shirt, so I had to purchase some items that I could have packed a little bit more. I digress. The point is, when you're on your journey, which we are all on our journey until we breathe our last breath, what are you traveling with? Are you traveling with behaviors that do not serve you? And this thinking about tomorrow and the future and what's going to happen and being disappointed if it doesn't is all food, fuel for the ego. The ego loves, laps it up. Oh, the best meal possible is a future meal. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about getting attached to plans of the future. You want to starve the ego, which is the purpose. And the purpose of starving the ego is to let my ego know that, no, you're not running this. I know you want to. I know you ran it for decades, but you're not running this anymore, ego. I can watch you have a temper tantrum. I could watch you throw all these scenarios and bad thoughts at me. I could watch all of it. I could witness all of it. But I'm not falling for it anymore. Let me share with you the story. If you follow me, you know how I'm just so stuck on these blueberries. I know she's crazy. But there's once a year, it's a very big farm, huge farm, acres and acres of blueberry fields. And there's one particular strain of blueberry. It's called top shelf blueberry. And if you've seen them, they're the size of marbles, even bigger. They're huge. I've never seen anything like it. And anyway, I picked a little over 40 pounds of blueberries. Now, I had to transport all of those blueberries back home, back to Nevada. How the hell was that going to happen? Well, first of all, I had to freeze the 40-plus pounds of blueberries. And let me share with you how the universe works that sets everything up. I don't have to do any planning. I really don't. I don't have to do anything anymore other than trust practice trusting that everything's in order. In fact, when you do practice letting go, trusting, really, and when I say letting go, I mean falling back, eyes closed, blind trust in every moment. I mean that level. There was no plans. I had no idea other than I knew I had to freeze 40-plus pounds of blueberries, and I know I had to get them transported back to Nevada. So my thought was either I was going to send them overnight FedEx, which was going to be very expensive. But I was going to spare no expense for these top-shelf blueberries. Does it sound like I might have a little attachment to the blueberries. No, not might. I do. I'm just going to be honest. I do. An attachment to these blueberries. Anywho, after I picked 40-plus pounds of blueberries, I was staying at an Airbnb. I had an Airbnb, and I had no idea where I was going to put them. I do have some friends from the town that I lived in, and nobody had any space for 40-plus pounds of blueberries. Nobody had space. I probably asked 3 or 4 of my friends. None of them had space. And then, of course, my ego throws in. Yes, they do. They just don't want to. They just don't want to share the space with you. Can you imagine? I get the same thoughts you do, my dear audience. The same. But don't buy into it. Don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into the bad news. Don't buy into the negativity. Just watch it. That my ego doesn't have anything good to say about what's going on, about anything. Never. Never. There's always a problem. Yes, that happens to me too. I digress. Come to find out that the people that I was in an Airbnb, guess what? This was just random. After the first day I picked a little over 10 pounds. I had to go back the second time, a little over 10 pounds. And then the woman asked me, what are you going to do with them? And because I just had them in the refrigerator. I said, I'm looking for a place to freeze them. She said, oh, we have a freezer in the garage that barely has anything, that barely has any food in it. Magic, right? Question mark. That's just the universe at work. Even down to finding freezer space for the blueberries. I know some of you may have already turned the show off because but I want to share with what happened to these blueberries. What I wound up doing is taking all of my clothes, or taking everything from the suitcase, shipping them back UPS. I shipped everything back UPS, all of the things that I came with, and then I purchased these thermal coolers, portable coolers that you take to the beach, but they're made out of cloth, not the hard plastic. So I purchased 3 of those, and they were each container had 20 pounds. A little bit over 20 pounds of blueberries in them. No, I'm sorry, not 20. Yeah, almost 20 pounds, 19 pounds. Anywho, guess what happens when I get to the airport and I'm checking in? I was going to check in the bags of blueberries. I have 3 containers, 3 thermal containers of blueberries with over 40-plus pounds. Guess what? Guess what the universe does? It's a setup, people. The plane was delayed 2 hours. What? Plane delayed 2 hours? Blueberries, defrost, unfrozen. They're supposed to be frozen. I mean, I had everything timed. Time to the time I got off the plane to the time I got back home to put them into the freezer. No, the plane was delayed 2 hours. Okay, I sit with that, no problem. Breathe in, breathe out. I got you, no problem. 2 hours later, The plane is delayed another hour. I wish this was a joke. I wish this was an unbelievable story. I wish this was on You Would Never Believe. Isn't there a show called You Believe It or Not? A 3-hour delay. Now, the interesting thing about the challenges, I used to call them tests. I'm not calling the universe test me, but the universe does definitely challenge the practice. Well, the universe doesn't challenge the practice. My ego is challenged with the practice of being okay with uncertainty. 3 hours later, the plane was delayed again. I don't even want to check and see whether or not the blueberries have been defrosted because I already know. Eventually, they're going to defrost. Finally, get on the plane after almost 4 hours of delay, and then guess what happens when we land? We're taxiing on the tarmac because there wasn't a place for them to deplane yet. So now we're taxiing around for another 20 minutes after landing. And boy, oh boy, was my ego ready to eat, ready to talk about, ready to stay focused on the negative, all of it. Your blueberries. Now, let me say, if blueberries are frozen and they do defrost, guess what? I'll just freeze them again. Next. And then to top it off, the Uber ride from the airport to the house, the universe gifts me, that's right, it's a gift, because anything that challenges my ego and anything that challenges my ego is a gift. Guess what? The Uber driver is driving 60 miles an hour. Now, the speed limit is 65. That's number one. Number two, the Uber driver is going the long way, the crowded way, not the back way. I don't know. I don't know if you ever been to Las Vegas, but there's more than one way to get to the airport, and there's a back way where you don't have to go through the city, through where you see the hotels on either side of the freeway. There's a back way. No, this gentleman, this Uber driver was going the long way, the scenic way. Oh, I saw all the hotels on the way as cars were flying by because he was only going 60 miles an hour. Now, the practice is to accept, let go, and accept it all. Now, you're talking about someone who practices in every waking moment. And after 3.5 hours of delay, after over 20 minutes of taxiing on the tarmac, and after watching the cars fly by when this gentleman is only going 60, and it's a 65 mile an hour. Oh my gosh, it's really funny. I mean, it's 65 mile an hour speed limit, and I looked and I said, really, universe, really, you're just piling it on, really? And I knew that my ego had something to grasp, something to use, something to work on when I said, here we go, when I said to the driver, wait for it, I said the speed limit is 65. And I didn't say it with any peaceful energy either. I said the speed limit is 65, and then he comes back with, yes, but I'd rather be safe. I'd rather get you home safely. Who can argue with that? Well, I'm really reliving it again, and my head went down because I knew that in that moment, not that my ego won, but my ego was definitely driving at that moment. Because there's no reason. There was no reason. And the urge, let me say this, the ego's urge is so strong. Nothing after 3.5 hours of waiting, plane delay. It never came up after 20 minutes on the tarmac just taxiing around. None of that. But when I was almost home at the end of the day, the ego sneaks one in. And the point is this. The acceptance of even when my ego gets to throw in a one-liner or gets to throw in a dig or a zing, the ego had to go back into starvation mode. The practice is so constant that you will be able to feel that key under the mattress. You will be able to feel when you are how do I say this? When you are operating, behaving, responding in a universal way, or let's do it the ego's way. There is a big difference. There's a big difference in vibration. There's a big difference in energy. You can feel the difference. One of them feels very comfortable, very easy, very cool, very smooth. And the other one feels tight, a struggle. No, it doesn't feel like it's a fit. It feels like you're wearing a shoe that is 2 sizes too small. You can feel the difference, especially when you commit to the practice. The practice of, and what is the practice? The practice is to eliminate all of those behaviors that have been proven to subtract from happiness. That even comes from having expectations of getting those blueberries home and they're frozen. Worrying. There was a little worry about the blueberries, I have to say. I didn't want them to defrost, but guess what? If they defrost, that's that. Next. So the practice is really to stay in every moment, in the present moment, and jump from present moment to present moment to present moment, and let it flow. Flow, let it just, let life flow. Allow uncertainty, embrace uncertainty, and and let uncertainty be your constant ally, your constant friend, your constant, who's with you? Who's next to you? Uncertainty. I have no clue about what tomorrow is going to bring. No one does. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that for the rest of the days. I'm good with that until I breathe my last breath. It doesn't matter. I am not, or my ego is not going to put me in a place where I'm worried, scared, thinking about, focusing on the future. I was in a summit yesterday, just for 20 minutes. It was, and never even mentioned whether or not I had COVID. It wasn't even important. But this was attended by Zimbabwe, someone in Peru, someone in Brazil. I mean, it is global. And the point is, I ask people, do they worry? Yeah, of course I worry all the time. Worry, worry, worry. The point is the practice. When I say it's a practice skill, it is what are you practicing in every moment? And that can only be answered by you. Is the practice important enough to be okay, to let go of? Now, I always like to share, don't think I'm doing this by myself. I have a relationship, conversation with the universe all the time, all day long. Oh, yeah, I have a companion. Excuse me. Hold on a second, my dear audience. Hold on. Let me get some water. Oh, wow, that water never tasted so good. Oh, it tastes so good. The practice of uncertainty, the practice of, back to the relationship. Okay, I remembered. Back to the relationship. Anytime you are challenged or struggling with, all you ask the universe, just, first of all, develop a relationship. Have a constant relationship. Talk to the universe, God, source, spirit. Have a conversation. And I ask for how. How do I let go? How do I practice trusting more? How do I practice being okay with uncertainty? How do I practice letting go? How do I practice being okay with whatever is in my path, whatever I find along the way? The universe offers surprises all the time. I mean, this ride, there is nothing boring about this life. Nothing. But the ego will tell you something different. The ego mind, the lower consciousness, will always find something wrong with the present moment, something that needs to be changed, something that needs to be shifted, something that needs to be attended to. The practice is, when I say, okay, so let me just back up a little bit. It's about witnessing the thoughts, knowing who is in charge of knowing who is authoring those thoughts, watching the thoughts without giving them any focus or power. Okay, acknowledge, without resisting them, but also without thinking thinking the thoughts have any substance. I don't. I know that there are people that you can change your thoughts, and you can higher than your thoughts and positive thoughts. No, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that. I just witness, just like clouds. The thoughts are. The negative thinking is like clouds. They come and they go. They come and they go. And I haven't found anything yet that's going to stop them, especially the negativity. I just haven't. Not even interested. Not even looking. The practice is, I have to say, the practice is relentless of being able to trust, let go, trust, and trust some more. So ask, hey, universe, how? How do I trust? How is it possible for me to be peaceful with uncertainty? How? And let it go. See, my ego will always like to point out something could be better, something could be different, something could look different. Why? No, I'm not interested, ego. I already know. It's like going to a magic show, And it's one of the. I don't know why I don't like magic shows, but I just don't. They're not real. I mean, it's not real. I know it's a trick, a great trick, but I'm into what's real. And these thoughts that come up, they keep coming and coming. They used to be very powerful. Now they're nothing. Nothing. Oh, I still have them, but I recognize a fake from something real, from the truth. I recognize fake fur from real fur. Fake diamonds from real diamonds. That could be tricky for me. But definitely the fake fur. Yeah. So the thoughts and the ego will always want certainty. What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing for the next 6 months? What's your goal? The ego always tries to come up with some kind of solid problem, some kind of solid place to make, let me just speak for myself, to make me feel that this needs to be addressed. Going back to the blueberries, whatever happened with those blueberries, I was stuck. Whether they were defrosted, they stayed frozen or not. Next. And the only reason I'm telling the story now is because I have is to share that life happens to me too. The question becomes, what do you value? What is important? Really, what is really important to you? I can't believe that I've been talking for 40 minutes. Wow. Whew. Don't get me started. Oh, by the way, if you're in the queue, if you have a question, I have a few people. If you have a question, just press the number 1. But let's get back to the behaviors that add. Being okay with uncertainty. Practicing being okay. Practicing being at peace. Ask the universe, how can I still vibrate peace with uncertainty, with the future being uncertain? See, the ego is saying that I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and how about this one? And I don't care, throws the ego into a tailspin. Talk about making it crazy. You want to make the ego crazy? You want to shake it up? You want to let it know who's in charge here? Let your ego know that you don't care about what happens in the future. Oh my goodness! Wow, that's a bitter pill. That's a bitter pill for the ego to swallow. Oh my goodness! Recapping today's key lesson. Put the ego on notice that you're going to be taking over. That its job is going to be relegated to what I wear, how many showers I take, my hairstyle, whether or not I cover my gray. That's my ego. Getting a pedicure, manicure. That's all ego. You can have those jobs, ego. But as far as me maintaining peace, it's just above. It's above my ego's pay grade. My ego's not qualified for any of that. So this practice of being okay with uncertainty is huge, not only for the practice, but huge for lessening the power of that critical, lower consciousness mind ego. Living with uncertainty is a path, is a journey to peace. that's it. All right. That felt like 5 minutes to me. Well, that's the end of today's show. I want to thank you for listening to Reality Spirituality, which is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. LinkedIn, my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. I'm getting my YouTube channel in order. Website is RebeccaNorrington.com. And my first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. And then there's another book that I was an author in a collaboration book. It came out in March of 2022. It's called The Book I Read, which is a collaboration of probably 30-plus authors sharing the stories about which book has profoundly changed our lives. So what is the book? And of course, for me, there's more than just one author. But my main author, I'm going to have to say, I have more than one. But David Hawkins, Ernest Holmes, of course, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak, thank you, Deepak, and I'm trying to think of someone. Abraham, the teachings of Abraham, yes. Anyway, until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're a conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient, and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting yourself and what you do and your decisions and your behavior in every moment. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with yours truly, happiness specialist, global happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner. Happiness is a practice skill, and I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you will find. The more peace you will find, the more you practice. And your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Have a conscious week, and I will be chatting with you then. Thank you for listening.
It's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about.